think we're going to drive this after.
Just going to kick it off without anything formal here. Well, I want to welcome you all here today, and I'm delighted that so many of you could take the time out to be here. And how many people are from Similar? Okay, great. I'm glad to see you all here. I think it's a great day for Similar, and I'm pleased to have Governor Christie and Commissioner Fitchner with us today to make this announcement. And as you know, we're going to be talking about a commitment of a grant to help fight opioid addiction. It's something that I know you all feel very strongly about. And let me just say a few things first about what Rutgers is already doing in these areas. I certainly could never be inclusive, but just keep in mind that the School of Public Health is already working hard on opioid addiction and its impact on homelessness. Our Rutgers Behavioral Health Care Program actually runs the hotline for the state 24/7 and has handled tens of thousands of calls since it was started in July of 2015. And the faculty members in the School of Medicine are researching on how we can combine medical treatment and drugs with behavioral therapy to provide the best outcome for individuals who are suffering from opioid addiction and the best chance of sustaining their recovery. The School of Pharmacy put together a toolkit for communities to see how they can help deal with this problem. Our Center for Alcohol Studies is training police officers to show substance abusers and their families the best way forward and what they can do to help out. And UBHC has opened 4 intensive outcare programs to help treat this problem. But I want to highlight one program here at Rutgers that we're all so proud of, and that is Recovery House at Rutgers, which has been here for nearly 30 years and helps students with these kinds of problems to keep on a course towards a degree and deal with the recovery from addiction at the same time. And I want to thank the governor particularly for calling out that program as one of the models for treatment in this area and for really showing how effective it can be. This new grant is going to build on the expertise of Rutgers and work with the state to help produce more certified alcohol and drug counselors. And as you know, it'll be running through the New Jersey Healthcare Talent Development Center that's operating out of the School of Management and Labor Relations, Similar. And that's why I see so many people from Similar here. It's a great partnership that you're building here, and we're really proud of it. There's about a $4 million commitment by New Jersey to support an apprenticeship program, education, apprenticeship, certification, and eventually training people who can move into the community to be certified workers in these vital areas. And it's another powerful statement about how Governor Christie's restructuring of higher education is helping the healthcare and the future of New Jersey. So I want to turn this over to the governor now, and I want to just say a couple of things because I'm running out of time to introduce him in terms of the years that we've worked together. I want you to know that this grant obviously means a lot to Rutgers and to the people who work here. But I want to point out to you just 3 or 4 things. First, the absolutely seminal role that Governor Christie played in restructuring our healthcare education here in New Jersey. If you think back 6 years ago, there wasn't any healthcare at Rutgers. We couldn't have done this. We couldn't have done so many things that we're doing now. Now we can act together to help the state. Now our undergraduate healthcare education program is ranked #2 in the nation. Now we have Rutgers Health joining with with RWJ Barnabas to form the biggest academic health system in the state. Wouldn't have happened without what you did. Secondly, I want to just thank him personally again for championing of the Building Our Future Bond Act and getting that referendum through. If you look through Rutgers now, we were able to take those dollars and leverage them against our own debt capacity and philanthropy to put together over $5.2 billion worth of completed construction in the last 5 years, which is what we both wanted to see out of that program. Third, I want to thank him for his focus on opioid addiction. There are problems that affect probably a third of the people in this room in terms of your families or your children's or your friends or whatever. It's affected my family personally, and I feel very strongly about this. Been very tightly identified with the Recovery House and really appreciate what the governor is doing. But finally, I just want to make sure that I say it has been such an honor and a pleasure to have a partner and an advisor down there in Trenton that I can turn to and that has been a constant supporter of this university throughout the time that he's been in the State House. Governor Christie.
Thank you, Bob. Well, thank you. Welcome to everybody. I'm glad you're here. This is a great day for Rutgers and for the state of New Jersey as well, and for our fight to try to deal with this disease of addiction. I want to thank the president first. Awesome things to say about him at the end as well. But for him being here today, for his leadership here. I was this morning at a place called Daytop Village in Mendham. It's an adolescent drug treatment facility in Mendham, New Jersey. It's been in existence for 25 years now. And I went this morning for their holiday event where you get to interact with the young men and women who are there undergoing treatment right now to try to deal with this disease. And I told all of them this morning that, you know, I truly believe that every life is an individual gift from God. And that no matter what condition you find that life in, it is still a gift from God. And sometimes those lives are broken and they're in tatters. And a disease like addiction will do that. But it makes that life no less valuable. That's why it's so heartbreaking to know that 175 people a day are dying in this country over addiction. I want you to understand the scope of that. That's a 9/11 every 2.5 weeks. Every 2.5 weeks. Think about this. If a terrorist organization had infiltrated this country and was killing 175 Americans a day, every day, how much do you think we'd pay to make it stop? How united would the country be to end the suffering and the dying? Yet we're doing this to ourselves, internally, and we don't show the will to make it stop. That's why I believe so much in the idea of treatment. Because I'll ask this group the same thing I asked the group this morning, and there was a whole bunch of people there, of benefactors and supporters of Daytop. Raise your hand if you've never made a bad judgment. It's the same result everywhere, right? We've all made bad judgments. The difference with me and Barchi is that all our bad judgments are on the front page of the newspaper. And all of you don't have to necessarily suffer the same fate, but it doesn't matter. We've all made bad judgments in our life. The difference is, for so many of us, we are fortunate that that bad judgment didn't involve taking drugs. But it doesn't make that bad judgment any worse than some of the bad judgments we've made. And it should not allow us to make a moral judgment on the people who made that bad judgment and to make them carry that moral stain on them for the rest of their lives. They made a bad decision there, but for the grace of God go I. And so why do we want to have a program like this and expand it? Because it brings hope. It brings hope to people with a disease who can be treated and can be put into a long-lasting recovery. And that precious life that was brought into the world by a mother and a father, full of innocence and hope, can be restored. Can be restored through the work that we're trying to do here. So that's why I'm so proud of Rutgers. Rutgers has been a leader long before I got here in dealing realistically and effectively with this issue. And Dr. Barchi's right. You know, since our time in merging our healthcare systems and education systems and our restructuring of the higher ed system in the state, it's made Rutgers and its expertise even more available to people not only around the state but around the country and around the world. I was proud to chair the President's Commission on the opioid crisis, and I used in that national report Rutgers as an example, especially its recovery housing program, as what should be a model for the rest of the nation. We shouldn't make it harder, given what the typical college atmosphere is, no matter what, regarding the use of substances. We shouldn't make it harder for those who are in recovery to get their education. We should give them a safe place for them to be able to follow their path of recovery while they're getting a world-class education at Rutgers. We know that the need for substance abuse and behavioral counselors is going to increase by more than 20% over the next 10 years because of this crisis. We're going to need more and more people. So how do we get there? Last July, we announced a pilot program with Rutgers and our Department of Labor to set up a drug counseling certification and apprenticeship pilot program. And we're doing 10 case managers at a place called Homeless Solutions in Morristown, which is an extraordinary place to do a great job in helping the homeless. And as Dr. Barchi said, there is often co-occurring issues, mental health, addiction, that lead to homelessness. I'm proud this administration has reduced homelessness more than any administration in the last 50 years in this state. And one of the reasons we've reduced it is our focus on mental health and addiction services. And so this is another step in that direction. So we're now going to take that pilot program that we put in one small place and we're going to put it statewide with a commitment of, as he said, over $4 million to work with expanding this entire basic skills program all the way throughout the state. New Jersey Healthcare Talent Development Center at Rutgers will launch the nation's first ever statewide apprenticeship program for certified alcohol and drug counselors. First one in the nation. As a result, Rutgers and its employer partners will be providing free training for 200 new certified counselors. While other institutions offer similar training, this grant makes Rutgers the only one in America to do so through an Earn While You Learn apprenticeship program. Apprentice counselors will receive 270 hours of classroom instruction on the science of addiction, counseling techniques, crisis intervention, case management, addiction recovery, while mastering the 45 state-mandated CADC core competencies, as well as receiving 3,100 hours of carefully supervised on-the-job training. These apprentices who successfully complete the program and pass the exam will be qualified to work as certified alcohol and drug counselors in addiction treatment centers and community health centers and hospitals and other direct care settings across the state of New Jersey. Graduates may elect to further their education by pursuing a bachelor's or a master's and potential licensure as a licensed clinical alcohol and drug counselor, and they can do all of that here at our state's university. As drug counselors, these employees will be on the front lines of this epidemic. They'll be the ones who will be reaching a hand out and providing hope to people who are truly hopeless when they're in the throes of this disease. More importantly, they'll also learn. The apprentices and ultimately the fully certified counselors will learn from those they're helping about perseverance, about fighting through a disease like this and coming out on the other side a more whole person and restoring their lives. I want to thank the Labor Commissioner, Commissioner Fichtner, for his commitment to this. When we got this pilot program underway, I grabbed him that day and said, all right, we have to find more money. We got to do this all over the place. We have to do this across the whole state. So we went and found more money to do it. And I want to thank President Barchi for his commitment to making Rutgers everything that it can and should be. I remember when I first met him, when we were interviewing folks for the new president of Rutgers, and I met him at the governor's residence in Princeton. And we had, I think, looking back on it, it surprised me even more how extraordinarily frank our conversation was that day, and it helped to set the foundation for our relationship over all these years. You know, I was kind of wondering, you know, why he wanted to move from Jefferson, where he was, to come and take on this challenge at Rutgers, and he was kind of wondering why I thought he'd even want to do it and what he was doing there. And I told him I had this vision of this grand higher education merger and reorganization in the state. And he said, yeah, I've heard about that, but I've also heard that 3 other governors before you have tried it, and they've all failed. And he said, so why should I come here believing that's going to happen, given the past failure? And I just looked at him and smiled and said, hey, we haven't met, have we? And I shook his hand. I said, if you come here, I promise you I will get it done. Because you're the right man to make the largest, and I want you to listen to this, Rutgers, and all of these supporters of Rutgers. This is the largest higher education merger in American history. And it was Dr. Barchi who I knew would be the right man to shepherd that merger effectively and to be able to create a new, dynamic Rutgers that would be able to undertake opportunities like this one and dozens of others. He's done it. And I can't tell you, of all the decisions I've made in now 35 days short of 8 years, not that I'm counting, but 35 days short of 8 years, all the decisions I've made, one of the decisions I'm proudest of is the decision to recommend that Bob Barchi become the president of Rutgers University. He has brought principled, strong, decisive leadership to this university. And we are truly blessed to have him as the president. Now, this is an academic community, so I'm sure there's a diversity of opinion on that issue, as there should be. And he's never shied away from that. The same way he's never shied away from making the tough decisions that needed to be made here to make this an even better place. And no one, I believe, can objectively argue that Rutgers is not a better institution today than it was the day that Bob Barchi walked in the door. Yes, we also had a shared vision on, you know, one of the things he said to me is we've got to improve and expand the physical plant at Rutgers here in New Brunswick, across the state in Newark and Camden as well. We have to do better for our students, and we have to do better for our faculty. And if I had told you 5 years ago that between the state of New Jersey, Rutgers philanthropists, and the hard work of everybody here, that in 5 years we would add $5 billion in physical improvements to Rutgers University, I know that the skeptics on this campus would have said, baloney, no chance. Yet it is happening around you. You see it everywhere. And in every different discipline. That's been his vision. When we did the Building Our Future Bond Act, I went to him and said, Rutgers is our state university. Rutgers will benefit most from this bond issue if it's passed. Tell me, give me your wish list of what Rutgers needs and what Rutgers alums and other supporters are willing to support. He did, and together with the state, we delivered. And that's part of what makes today possible too, because of our expanded fiscal plant, which leads to expanded educational and teaching opportunities, which leads to opportunities to partner with the private sector in the state like this. So I'm hoping to do a couple more things at Rutgers before I go. But if I don't, I want everyone to know here how fortunate I feel as the son of a Rutgers alum which he reminds me all the time, that he went here. This is where the first person in my family got a college education. He worked at the Breyers ice cream plant in Newark during the day, and as a veteran, went to Rutgers at night for 7 years to get his degree in accounting. And my first picture on the Rutgers campus was at his graduation. He always called it our first family picture. And it's my father in his cap and gown at Rutgers getting his degree in accounting, and my mother 6 months pregnant with me. That was my first visit to Rutgers. And so this is a very special place to me. And I promised my dad, in addition to a lot of other people, that if I got the chance to be governor, I would make sure that I did everything I could to make Rutgers better and to make the state proud of our state university. And there is not a better state university in America than this one. And we haven't even gotten started yet in what will be coming in the future because of all these investments. So I want to thank him for his leadership. He's an extraordinary leader. He's got a great vision for this university, and I hope that his leadership continues well beyond my time as governor, because he's done a great job. And for all of you who are going to participate and support this program that we're here to talk about today, he's right. This is what I hoped Rutgers would continue to grow in, is to use your expertise to be able to improve the lives of the people of this state. That's what a great university does in part. Not only educates young men and women and older men and women, it not only provides great academic research and scholarship, but it also makes its community a better place by the synergy that occurs on a college campus, the collision of ideas that helps to create a healthy, growing, vital environment in all the places that it touches. The men and women that you all are going to help through this program will do things that we can never even imagine. When you restore their health to them through this counseling, they will accomplish great things also. Make our communities and our state a better place. And, even more importantly, once again become functioning mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, and sons and daughters to their families. And we know that makes us a better state. And it makes us better people. So your work in this area, I believe, truly is God's work here on earth to help restore life and to give it meaning again and purpose for those who are suffering from an awful disease. So for Rutgers, I can't thank you enough for your willingness to be in this partnership. I'm glad to provide some of the money to make it happen. And hopefully to continue, I hope, in the next administration, to keep the focus on the fact that over 2,200 New Jerseyans died last year of a drug overdose, and it didn't have to happen. And the more we can bring those numbers down, the better our state's going to be. So I thank you all for coming today. I thank you for the work that you've already done and the work that I know you will do under this program and lots of others to set a real example at Rutgers University for the rest of the people of the state of New Jersey. Thank Dr. Barchi for his leadership on this and so many other things. And thank the taxpayers of the state, because in the end, it's their money. And I think this is one, even in a state like ours, that tends to be a little edgy. Even in this one, this would bring a tear to people's eye. That they knew that their money was being used to help to save their neighbors' children, their co-workers' children, and in some cases their own children, from a disease that could end their lives. So thank you all for being here today. I appreciate it very much. Let's get to work and let's start restoring health to the people of our state who need it so desperately. Thank you all very much. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Onward.